Da 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 da! Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday. I'm your host, Kay. Y'all already know, your one and only host. Today we are coming from the book of Job. And the only reason why I picked that because I saw like this thing where in the Bible where like it tells you specific books that are meant for like certain stuff. And Job is under wisdom. And what would Wednesday be without Wisdom Wednesday? So, even though we're coming from the Bible, I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to do it my style. So, if you don't like it, then I don't know what to tell you. But let's get into this. Father, humble me and let me get through it. Okay, so today's topic on Wisdom Wednesday is going to be know your creator and your deflator. Ooh, y'all are ready for that. Let me say that one more time. Know your creator and your deflator. Ooh. Alright, so we're going to talk about, this comes from Job. I'm going to kind of talk about Job today. Because it reminds me about what I want to talk about. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but I hope you listen and I hope you could get some from it, even if it only touched 2 people, 1 person, even if it halfway touched you and you only think about it a little bit. I don't care, so turn the listening ears on and let's ride. Okay, so we're coming from Job 1. Job was a blameless man. He had integrity. He feared God and he stayed away from evil. He had 7 sons, 3 daughters. Job owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 teams of ox, and 500 female donkeys. He also had many servants. In fact, Job was the richest person in his entire area. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Back up. Okay, so Job basically had everything. Notice it didn't say he was one of the richest men or he was one of the richest people in his area. It said he is one of the richest person in his entire area. But let's back up some more before that. I told you he had, 500 female donkeys, 500 teams of ox, 3,000 camels, 7,000 sheep. Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters. I told you what he had. But let's back up even more. Before I told you what Job had, I said Job was a... Okay, so we got to keep reversing. Don't put it back in drive. We're not there yet. Got to keep reversing. We're not fully in the parking spot, so let's reverse. Let's rewind. Before I told you everything Job had, I told you this. I started off by saying Job was a blameless man. He was a man full of integrity. He feared God and he stayed away from evil. Then I told you what Job had. Okay. So, because Job was a blameless man, he stayed away from evil, he feared God, he had integrity. God blessed him to have all those things. 7 sons, 4 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 ox, and 500 female donkeys. And he was the richest man in his entire area. Okay. Now, let's continue reading. Now that I got y'all there, let's continue reading. Okay, correction in that last snap. Job was the richest person, not the richest man. He was the richest person in his entire area, which furthermore proves my point of what I'm getting to. Now we're going to go back to 1 Job 6. Job's first test. One day the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser Satan came with them. Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I've been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. We're going to pause right there. We're going to park it. We're going to park it. We're going to put it in park. A lot of people like to think Satan is in hell. Satan is not in hell. Satan is roaming this earth, looking for people to use and looking for people to do his work. But I'm about to get into something that's quite more interesting. So, I just want y'all to keep that in mind. Satan is not in hell. Okay, we're going to come out of that and put it back in drive. All right. Then the Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth and is blameless. He is a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil. Satan said to the Lord, yes, but Job has a good reason to fear God. You have always put a wall of protection around him and his home and his property. You have made him prosper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you in your face. Pause. Okay. So Satan likes to think that he knows us. He likes to think that he knows us. But let me tell you how God knows you more. As you further go on. Then as we more go on, it says, all right, you may test him, the Lord said to Satan. Do whatever you want with everything he possesses, but you do not harm him physically. So Satan left God's presence. Park again. That's all God needs to do is give Satan permission. Please don't ever think that God doesn't give Satan permission to do things to you. God does. Because what did he tell Satan before he said it? He said, have you noticed Job? Have you noticed how blameless he is? How he stays away from evil? How he's a man of God? Go ahead, test him. God know you. He know how you rock with him. He know how you rock with him, and he already knows Satan. So God said, go ahead. So know that you will go through. When God told Satan about Job, he didn't say, oh yeah, he fears God. That's not what all he said. He said he's blameless. He has integrity. He fears me. He stays away from evil. So go ahead, do what you got to do, Satan. Go ahead. God knows his child. Especially when you do what is right, what God calls you to do and what he wants you to do, he does right by you. So don't ever feel like because he is sending the deflator, the enemy, to come and attack you, that don't mean that he don't got you. That don't mean that he just don't have nothing else better to do. He got you. Give him permission because he knows his child. He knew Job. All right, y'all ready to go back into drive? Coming out of park, let's go. And don't think just because God gave him permission, he gave Satan permission to just go all willy-nilly. He said do what you want to do with everything he possesses. But he said don't you touch him physically. Okay? All right. Listen. Between the lines, you have to read between the lines, each and every line, because people will read the Bible and cause you to think that God is a cruel and a mean God. And that's not the God we serve. All right, this time for real, we about to come out of park. Let's go. Let's ride. All right, so then after that, Satan left God's presence. So then one day while the brothers and the sisters, they was having a feast at the oldest brother's house, servant came to Job's house and told him that your ox and your donkeys had basically, they dead. And then before that servant could finish telling him that, another servant came in and had told him that all his sheep had caught on fire. And he was the only person that had escaped to be able to tell him. Then before that servant could even finish telling him, another servant came in and told him that, raiders have been stolen your camels and killed your servants. I am the only one who escaped to tell. Before he could finish that, another messenger had came in and said, your sons and daughters were feasting in the oldest brother's home. Suddenly a powerful wind swept in from the wilderness and hit the house on all sides. Then he said that the wind had hit all sides of the house, which made the house collapse, and all his kids are dead now. And he was the only one to escape to tell him. Then Job stood up and tore his robe off in grief. Then he shaved his head and fell to the ground to worship. He said, I came naked in this world from my mother's womb, and I will be naked when I leave. The Lord gave me what I had, and the Lord has taken it away. Praise the name of the Lord. And all of this, Job did not sin by blaming God. Alright. Now we're going to park. Time to go in park, because do you remember what I told you in the beginning? Everything that Job had? And he just lost everything. Let's rewind, since maybe you didn't hear. I told you that. Alright, so let's go back. What did I tell you Job had? I told you Job had 7 sons. I told you he had 3 daughters. I told you Job owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 teams of ox, and 500 female donkeys. He also had many servants. In fact, Job was the richest person in his entire area. And now you just telling me he just lost everything? He lost his kids, 7 sons, 3 daughters. He lost 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 ox, and 500 female donkeys. And he said he stooped to his knees and worshiped God. Stooped to his knees and worshiped God. A lot of times in this generation we live in, when something happens to us, the last thing we want to do is get on our knees and stoop to God and tell him thank you for anything, because what we feel is his fault. No. You see, his faith didn't waver. When you love God and you live for God, your faith don't waver. Because you know everything that you have, God has given it to you. That's some people's problem. They like to feel like what they have, they got it. Where they at, they got themselves there. And see, sometimes like that, I promise you, sometimes people thinking like that, God will flip that rug from underneath you, pull it so quick, and make you remember that He is who He say He is. I am who I am. That is He. Yeah. But Job lost everything, but he still worshiped God. Let's go. So, as I get ready to wrap this up, let's rewind it back, because I don't think y'all heard it, or y'all probably heard it, but y'all didn't think about it. So let's wind it back. We still on Job 1, verse 9. Satan replied to the Lord, yes, but Job has good reason to fear God. You have always put a wall of protection around him, in his home and his property. You have made him prosper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. And that's where I'm going to leave it at on this chapter. I'm going to pick up with knowing the difference between your creator and deflator next Wednesday. But this, you remember that, because Satan banks on that. He banks on you to curse God and start blaming God for everything. Because Satan likes to feel like, oh, we only love God because God gives us this and God gives us that. They don't really love God. They only love you for what you do for them. So God told him, take away everything. If you take away everything, he will curse you. And what God say? You can touch everything he possesses, but don't you harm him physically. So God will allow Satan to step up and start taking and taking and taking and taking from you. But what you gonna do? You gonna get down and worship? You gonna cry it out? Worship, cry it out, get back up, fight again? Or you gonna step away from God and you gonna distance yourself? You gonna blame him? You gonna blame him for what you going through? When at the end of the day, the reason why he did this is because he had faith in you, that you're going to continue to praise his name. So I don't know what a lot of people are going through today. I don't know what a lot of people will be going through tomorrow. I don't know what a lot of people was going through yesterday. But if you watch this, just know it ain't over. Know that God has not turned against you. Know when he allows the devil to get up in your business, he giving you spiritual growth to continue to praise and worship him, because you need to know he is the only one that gonna get Satan up out of your business. He put him in, he gonna get him out. You gotta stay strong. You gotta stay strong and hold on. Let God lead the way sometimes. If God leading the way results in Satan taking a little bit of stuff, that's cool. Because what you lose, God gonna give it back to you tenfold. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Alright. Thank you. If you watched it, thank you for listening. I really wasn't going to do Wisdom Wednesday this day. I posted it and said I was going to do it. I don't know if y'all noticed. Somebody noticed, but I deleted it and they messaged me like what happened. And because of them, that was the only reason why I was going to post it in the first place. So I guess this is just something that I was meant to do, that God had me to ordain to do, because I hope it helps somebody. I really love helping people. A lot of people tell me I should be a motivational speaker, so I'm trying to get used to talking to the camera a little more, especially since I'm about to start doing YouTube videos. But we will continue, Job, the topic of Know Your Creator and Deflator next Wednesday. I really thank y'all for listening. I pray that y'all have a blessed night and know that we rocking. 1,000 angels.